So John D. Halls is a paratrooper. He was killed on D-Day in Normandy, France. He was just 22 when he was killed in the war, and he was a Colorado paratrooper.
Private First Class John D. Halls died on the first day of the D-Day assault. His commander, Lieutenant Dick Winters, wrote about his death.
Lieutenant Winters wrote in his journal of John D. Halls, "Halls was with me on D-Day when he was killed charging for the 3rd cannon by an undisclosed machine gun nest. He was a good basketball player and a good soldier."
A good basketball player. Who knew? Another story from the war, featured in a digital online format. Another story behind the stars. There are so many stories to tell about World War II soldiers, thousands of them buried at Fort Logan National Cemetery in Denver. But they are not just names and numbers on white stones.
These stories bring them to life so people can know who is behind the name and what their background was and see what they had to go through.
Michelle Rollins writes some of the stories that emanate from these memorials across the world. She volunteered to research and write them partly to honor her family.
Both of my grandfathers were in the military. My dad was in the Navy. My daughter was in the Marine Corps.
His signature when he was 18.
Brian Fussville also volunteered to write about fallen soldiers. He's 27 and fascinated by the history of World War II.
Yeah, I definitely feel a connection to these guys. You know, they're younger than me in my current age. I can't even comprehend that they're in those situations at the same point in their life where I am today.
He works from his home office, which is decorated with wartime maps and books about heroes. He scours the internet for ancestry information and newspaper clippings, and often talks to family members to learn everything he can about the soldiers he's writing about.
Who they were as a person, their personality, their nicknames, their hobbies, what part of what their job was in their unit, and of course how they became a casualty and where they can be found now.
Most can be found in cemeteries like this all over the world. Everyone has a story to tell from the grave, with the help of 1,100 volunteers in all 50 states.
World War II is one of the last clear, distinctive fights between good and evil in history, and I have to think, you know, many people probably weren't thinking of fear, just thinking this is simply the job at hand.
Writing about these brave souls takes time and commitment. But the volunteers for Stories Behind the Stars say it is the least they can do after what they did for all of us.